Has it been just within a month since you've got a concussion? Let's talk about what you need to do to get back on track. Concussion is a type of traumatic brain injury. It's considered a mild traumatic brain injury because there are more severe levels of a brain injury that can leave people paralyzed, unable to speak, and permanent damage. So that's why it's called mild, even though the symptoms might not be mild, what people experience, but that's the category where the word mild comes from. Basically, a concussion occurs when our brain kind of gets rattled within our skull. And that doesn't have to necessarily occur by getting a hit to the head. You can get hit in the neck. You can even get hit in the side of your body, then your head whips one way, which then causes the brain to shake back and forth in the brain. And so that would still be considered a concussion. So it's a very common thing that people miss. Sometimes they don't get diagnosed with a concussion or even think to go to the hospital because they didn't actually hit their head against something, but they indeed sustained a concussion. Once a concussion happens, there is an entire inflammatory process that is occurring as the brain is injured and is working to reestablish a balance. So it's very important to minimize inflammation as much as we can so that the brain does have the proper space for healing to occur. A lot has changed within the last 15 years when it comes to what to do when it comes to a concussion. Previously, when we got a concussion, we just kind of wrote it off as, oh, you got your bell rung a little bit, oh, you just got your head rattled a bit, just get back up and continue as normal. But now there's so much more research, and we know that there are definitely things that you can do to help promote healing, as well as there are things that you can do that are actually harmful and prolong healing. So we want to definitely stay away from those. Metabolically, it will take about 21 to 30 days for the brain to completely heal metabolic wise, although you might experience symptoms for less time. You might feel better within a couple of weeks. Just know that your body and brain is still kind of clearing everything out for about 30 days. We're going to go over the main dial movers that you can and should be doing in order to promote your healing. The first thing is to withhold from any physical activity. So if you got a concussion from a sports injury, you need to come off the field, court, whatever it is, and abstain from any physical activity for 48 hours. Research definitely shows that those who continue to play in their sport after the injury, they're at more risk of developing, first of all, prolonged symptoms and even further complications. This is for a few reasons. One, you are at more risk of having a second concussion, which could actually end up becoming what we call second impact syndrome, which can be fatal. So we definitely don't want to increase the risk of that happening. And the way that we minimize it is by simply not engaging in any other physical activity where another concussion could occur in the case that it's sports. Second thing that you want to do is make sure that you are prioritizing sleep. So sleep is one of those ways that we can help clear out the inflammation that's occurring in the brain after concussion. You want to aim for 8 to 9 hours of sleep per night. This is really going to help your brain prepare while you're sleeping and there's no stimulation going on, and all that the brain has to work on at this time while you're asleep is healing. Taking naps throughout the day are fine. We just want them to be short because if they're too long, then this prevents us from sleeping for longer hours in the evening. If you can, try to keep a regular sleep schedule. So try to go to bed around the same time that you did before and waking up. So try to keep this consistent sleep-wake cycle. You might find that you need a sort of sleep wind down routine. So this means that you are taking the time before you go to sleep to kind of get into a relaxed state. You might have to create a calming environment. You might need to put away the phone earlier than you normally would. Make sure that your room is nice and cool and that you are not busying your mind before bed and then unable to go to sleep. The next thing is to stay away from inflammatory foods. So this is going to include things like artificial sugar. Natural sugars are fine. For example, sugars occur naturally in fruits, so those are okay. But as far as artificial sugars that might come from breads or pastries, those you really want to reduce, because that just kind of keeps the inflammatory state more prolonged with the brain. Same thing with alcohol. So alcohol is very inflammatory. So abstaining from alcohol temporarily while your brain is going through the healing process will definitely help you in the long run. Definitely leaning into those anti-inflammatory foods. So that's going to be fruit, that's going to be vegetables. Make sure that you're getting a lot of fiber to help clear your system. Next, you're going to want to stay hydrated. And when I say hydrated, I don't necessarily mean chugging a bunch of water that doesn't have anything in it. I'm actually talking about electrolytes. So after a concussion, our bodies become deficient in magnesium, potassium, as well as some other minerals and ions. So it is very important for you to make sure that you're getting enough of that. There are easy ways for you to get this type of hydration. You can use those over-the-counter electrolyte mixes, or if you are trying to, again, just cut down on the sugar, you can do this naturally by drinking things like coconut water, lemon water, cucumber water. You are also going to want to reduce your stress if possible. So this might mean that with your daily routine that you actually kind of remove yourself from certain responsibilities if possible. So if you are in school, you might get your deadlines on your assignments extended so that you're not stressed about completing those, because again, too much stress and then having to concentrate too much on getting these assignments done actually interferes with your brain's ability to heal from the concussion. Same thing with work. So if you are working, you might consider actually either taking some days off or having some modifications, maybe doing a half day, maybe working from home. Again, having your assignments a little bit spread out, or extending deadlines. And then lastly, you want to gradually reintroduce your environment. And this can take as long as it needs to. For some people, it just takes a few days of just slowly easing back into things. Some people a couple of weeks. But definitely if you are constantly feeling overstimulated and just bogged down by your environment, it means that it's too much for your brain right now and it is unable to heal in that environment. So if you're constantly being overstimulated and just feeling this symptom overload, we're impeding the brain recovery process. So it is important to scale back so that you can get back into those things sooner than later. If it's been a few days since you've had the concussion, you can definitely go see a healthcare provider that is knowledgeable in concussion right away. So you do not have to wait until you do not feel well for several weeks on end, but you don't necessarily have to go right away. If you've been diagnosed already, you've gone to the emergency room or you've gone to your primary care doctor and they have cleared you and made sure that you don't have anything else going on, then you would be able to follow these tips and experience a lot of recovery and might be able to gradually return to sport and activity without any further medical attention. The general consensus is that if it has been at least 3 weeks and you're not seeing any progress, that you do go to a literate concussion care provider. All right, that's it. I hope you found this helpful. This is Dr. Brittany from Make Sense Brittany, helping you to make sense of your recovery and healing.